There is a silent law governing every blessing you crave, every door that remains shut, every miracle that seems never to arrive. You pray, you visualize, you trust, yet time slips through your fingers like fine sand, and the waiting transforms into doubt, the doubt into despair. What you fail to perceive is that each second of delay carries hidden wisdom, a divine mechanism turning behind the curtains of your consciousness. Yogananda revealed to us that there is no accident in the spiritual universe, only karma working with surgical precision, molding your soul until it becomes ready to receive what has already been promised. The wait is not punishment, it is preparation. It is the divine sculpting within you the capacity to sustain the greatness you can barely imagine. Have you noticed how certain people seem to effortlessly attract everything they desire, while you struggle in silence, carrying the weight of unfulfilled promises? The answer does not lie in luck, cosmic injustice, or random divine favor. It is engraved in the invisible layers of your being, in the memories of past lives, in the choices you made when your soul was young, in the lessons that still need to be absorbed. Yogananda taught that karma is mathematical, not emotional. It does not punish or reward by whim. It balances, and this balance requires that you first purify the mental patterns sabotaging your blessings before they even arrive. Each day of waiting is a day of dissolution of fear, of impatience, of the attachment that would transform your blessing into a gilded cage. The truth few dare to confront is this: your blessings are not delayed. You simply have not yet learned the language in which they speak. They knock at your door every single day, but you are too busy questioning heaven, complaining about the delay, feeding the narrative of scarcity. Yogananda warned us that the mind is the greatest obstacle between you and grace. While you vibrate at the frequency of lack, you create a magnetic field that repels precisely what you seek. The karma of waiting is not about God testing your patience. It is about you learning that you already possess everything you need within yourself. It is about transforming the agony of waiting into fuel for consciousness expansion. Each no you receive, each not yet, whispered by the universe, is an invitation to dive deeper into your own divinity. But there is something even more profound happening behind the scenes of time. Yogananda revealed that the universe operates in perfect cycles, obeying laws that transcend our linear perception. What appears as an absurd delay in your mortal life may be a precise cosmic alignment when seen from the perspective of eternity. Your blessings await the exact moment when you will have emotional strength not to destroy them, spiritual wisdom to honor them, and sufficient humility not to attribute them to ego. The wait is purifying your intentions, testing the authenticity of your desire, removing the layers of egoic motivation that would contaminate the divine gift. When the blessing finally arrives, you will no longer be the same person who asked for it. You will be someone worthy of carrying it without stumbling. Now, in this exact moment, you stand before an invisible crossroads. You can continue to embitter the wait, feeding resentment against the divine, perpetuating the karmic cycle that keeps your blessings in suspension. Or you can understand that the wait is sacred, that the delay is intentional, that each instant of unsurmounted anxiety is another brick in the wall between you and your realization. Yogananda left us the keys: deep meditation to dissolve old karma, conscious detachment to release obsessive control, unwavering faith, even when all material evidence screams the contrary. Your blessings are not lost. They are ripening on the tree of time, waiting for you to become the gardener capable of harvesting them without spoiling the fruit. The question that defines your destiny is not when, it is who you need to become to be ready when they arrive. The ancient scriptures speak of a cosmic debt that every soul carries across lifetimes, an invisible ledger written not in ink, but in consciousness itself. Yogananda called this the law of karma, not a punishment handed down by an angry deity, but a perfect system of cause and effect that operates with the precision of mathematics and the compassion of a loving parent. When your blessings delay, when doors slam shut despite your worthiness, when the miracle you desperately need hovers just beyond reach, you are witnessing karma at work in its most educational form. The universe is not withholding from you out of cruelty. It is teaching you the most essential lesson of spiritual maturity, that true abundance flows not from external acquisition, but from internal transformation. Every moment of waiting is calibrated to dismantle the illusions that would make you misuse the very gifts you pray for. Consider the seed buried deep in dark soil, cut off from sunlight, surrounded by pressure and isolation. To the seed, this might feel like abandonment, like a cruel delay of its destiny to become a towering tree. Yet beneath the surface, invisible to the impatient eye, the seed is undergoing a sacred metamorphosis. Its shell must soften and break. Its energy must reorganize from dormancy into dynamic growth. The darkness is not its enemy, but its womb. Yogananda taught that your periods of waiting mirror this natural process perfectly. What you perceive as stagnation is actually the underground work of karmic purification. The roots of your blessing are spreading through the soil of your consciousness, establishing a foundation strong enough to support the weight of answered prayers. If the manifestation came too soon, before the root system developed, the first storm would topple everything you built. The ego wants instant gratification because it lives in perpetual fear of scarcity. It believes that if the blessing does not arrive immediately, it never will. This is the fundamental misunderstanding that creates most human suffering. Yogananda revealed that the divine operates outside of time as we comprehend it. What feels like years of agonizing delay in your mortal experience is merely a breath in the eternal timeline of your soul's evolution. Your higher self, which exists beyond the prison of linear time, already possesses every blessing you seek. The delay you experience is not about the blessing taking time to arrive from some distant heaven. It is about you taking time to align with the frequency at which that blessing already exists. You are not waiting for God to decide you are worthy. You are waiting for yourself to become the vibrational match to what you already deserve. Yogananda spoke often of the karmic seeds planted in previous incarnations, dormant patterns that spring to life when conditions ripen. Perhaps in another lifetime you received a blessing prematurely and squandered it through ignorance, pride, or spiritual immaturity. Perhaps you wielded power without wisdom, wealth without generosity, love without gratitude. These past life mistakes do not condemn you to eternal suffering, but they do create educational delays in your current incarnation. The blessing you seek today might be the exact blessing you mishandled yesterday in another body, another century. The delay is not arbitrary. It is giving you time to develop the consciousness that was missing before. It is ensuring that this time when the gift arrives, you will honor it as sacred rather than treating it as guaranteed. The universe is infinitely patient because it knows that rushing your evolution would only guarantee repeated failure. But there is another layer to this mystery that most seekers never discover. The delay itself is the blessing in disguise. While you fixate on the external manifestation you believe you need, the waiting period is secretly delivering something far more valuable: the transformation of your character, the deepening of your faith, the strengthening of your spiritual muscles. Yogananda understood that God is not primarily interested in making you comfortable. The divine is committed to making you conscious. Every day you spend in the crucible of waiting is a day your soul becomes more refined, more resilient, more aligned with your true nature. When the external blessing finally materializes, you will realize that the person you became during the wait was worth infinitely more than the thing you were waiting for. This is the secret that changes everything. The waiting is not preparation for the blessing. The waiting is the blessing. The mind creates elaborate stories to justify why your blessings have not arrived. And these stories become chains that bind you to the very delay you resent. You tell yourself you are not good enough, not spiritual enough, not deserving enough. You scan your past for evidence of unworthiness, building a case against yourself that even the harshest judge would dismiss. Yogananda warned against this spiritual self-sabotage with urgency in his voice and compassion in his heart. The delay has nothing to do with your inherent worth, and everything to do with divine timing meeting human readiness. You are not being punished for past mistakes. You are being protected from repeating them. The universe sees what you cannot, that your current level of consciousness would turn the blessing into a burden, the answer into a new question, the freedom into a more sophisticated prison. The delay is an act of love, not rejection. Think of the lotus flower that Yogananda so often invoked as a symbol of spiritual emergence. This sacred bloom does not apologize for the time it spends beneath murky water, unseen and unacknowledged. It does not rush its ascent because other flowers have already surfaced. The lotus knows in its cellular wisdom that premature rising would result in a weak stem unable to support the magnificent flower waiting to unfold. It remains submerged, drawing nutrients from the mud, converting darkness into potential beauty. Only when every condition aligns perfectly does it break through the surface, and when it does, it blooms with such radiant perfection that all who witness it forget the waiting entirely. Your life is following this exact pattern. You are still beneath the surface, still in the nutrient-rich mud of experience, still developing the strength required for your emergence. The world cannot see you yet, but that does not mean you are not growing. There exists a profound difference between waiting passively and waiting actively, and this distinction determines whether your delay becomes destructive or constructive. Passive waiting is filled with resentment, checking the clock of manifestation every few hours, comparing your timeline to others, sinking into victimhood when results do not materialize on your preferred schedule. This kind of waiting actually extends the delay because it keeps you vibrating at the frequency of lack and frustration. Yogananda taught a different way, active waiting, which he called dynamic patience. This is the art of using the waiting period as intensive spiritual training. You meditate deeper. You serve more selflessly. You study the sacred texts with fresh hunger. You practice gratitude for what already exists rather than obsessing over what is absent. You treat each day of delay as an opportunity to become more aligned, more surrendered, more trusting. Active waiting transforms you from a beggar at the gates of manifestation into a co-creator with the divine, prepared to receive not because you demanded but because you evolved. The karmic mechanism operates through patterns, and these patterns repeat until the lesson embedded within them is finally absorbed. If you have experienced repeated delays in a specific area of life, relationships that almost materialize but dissolve at the last moment, opportunities that seem guaranteed but evaporate, health improvements that begin but regress, you are witnessing a karmic pattern seeking resolution. Yogananda explained that these repetitive delays are not cosmic cruelty but targeted education. The pattern contains a specific teaching that your soul needs to master before advancement becomes possible. Perhaps you need to learn detachment from outcomes. Perhaps you need to develop faith that does not depend on visible evidence. Perhaps you need to release the toxic belief that you can control everything through force of will. The delay repeats until you stop fighting it and start listening to it. The moment you extract the lesson, the pattern releases its grip, and the blessing that seemed perpetually out of reach suddenly arrives with effortless grace. Yet here is where most seekers stumble into a trap disguised as spiritual wisdom. They hear about karmic delays and conclude that they should do nothing, that surrender means resignation, that acceptance means abandoning all desire. This is a dangerous misinterpretation that Yogananda corrected repeatedly throughout his teachings. Surrendering to divine timing does not mean you become passive, hopeless, or spiritually lazy. It means you stop forcing doors that are not ready to open while simultaneously preparing yourself for the moment they do. You take inspired action when intuition guides you. You improve your skills, heal your wounds, clarify your intentions, strengthen your character. You work on yourself with the same intensity that you once used to manipulate external circumstances. The blessing is delayed, yes, but you are not. Your evolution continues uninterrupted, and when the external finally catches up to the internal transformation you have undergone, the manifestation arrives not as a miracle you barely deserved, but as a natural consequence of who you have become. The greatest paradox of spiritual manifestation is that the things you grasp most desperately are the things that slip through your fingers most quickly, while the blessings you hold with open palms find their way to you with mysterious ease. Yogananda spoke of this principle as the law of detachment, and it operates with mathematical precision in the realm of delayed blessings. Your intense attachment to a specific outcome, your white-knuckled grip on exactly how and when your blessing should arrive, creates an energetic barrier that the manifestation cannot penetrate. The universe reads your desperation not as readiness, but as spiritual immaturity. A desperate person cannot be trusted with power, with wealth, with love, with influence, because desperation makes poor decisions. It compromises integrity, it sacrifices long-term wisdom for short-term relief. The delay continues until you learn to want the blessing without needing it, to desire it without depending on it for your sense of worth or happiness. This is not cold indifference. This is mature spirituality. Consider how a child begs for a sharp knife, believing it is a toy, unable to comprehend the danger it presents. The loving parent does not give the knife immediately, no matter how intense the pleading becomes. The parent waits until the child develops the maturity to understand consequences, the coordination to handle the tool safely, the judgment to know when to use it and when to set it aside. Your heavenly parent operates with the same protective love. The blessing you cry for might be the very thing that would destroy you if it arrived before you were ready. That relationship you desperately want might become toxic if you enter it while still carrying unhealed wounds. That financial breakthrough you pray for might corrupt you if you receive it while still identifying your worth with material accumulation. That recognition you crave might inflate your ego beyond repair if it comes before you have developed humility. Yogananda assured us that God is not withholding gifts out of stinginess but delaying them out of infinite wisdom, waiting for the moment when they will bless you rather than curse you. The collective consciousness of humanity operates under the illusion that faster is always better, that immediate gratification equals divine favor, that delays signal rejection. This is perhaps the most damaging lie perpetuated by modern culture. Yogananda lived in an era of slower rhythms, yet his teachings about patience and divine timing remain even more relevant in your accelerated world. You have been conditioned to expect instant results, instant communication, instant information, instant entertainment, instant satisfaction. This conditioning has infected your spiritual expectations. You approach prayer and meditation as if they were cosmic vending machines where you insert desire and immediately receive manifestation. When the universe does not comply with your timeline, you interpret the delay as malfunction rather than design. You must deprogram yourself from this poisonous expectation. Sacred timing operates by different laws than your impatient ego recognizes. A seed planted in spring does not produce fruit by summer just because you demand it. It follows its own rhythm, encoded by nature, perfected over millions of years of evolution. Your blessings follow their own sacred rhythm, and your job is not to accelerate it but to align with it. There is a hidden curriculum embedded in every delay, And most people miss it entirely because they are too busy complaining about the wait to study what the wait is teaching. Yogananda called this the classroom of patience, and he insisted it was one of the most important spiritual educations a soul could receive. When you are forced to wait for something you deeply desire, you discover who you really are beneath the masks and performances. Your true character emerges. If you become bitter, resentful, and faithless during the delay, you reveal that your spirituality was superficial, dependent on circumstances cooperating with your preferences. If you deepen in trust, expand in compassion, and strengthen in faith despite the delay, you reveal authentic spiritual maturity. The delay is not incidental to your growth. It is essential. It shows you which parts of your consciousness still operate from fear rather than love, from ego rather than spirit, from attachment rather than freedom. Every day of waiting gives you another opportunity to choose your response, to practice surrender, to demonstrate whether your devotion to the divine is conditional or unconditional. This is the test that matters most. But Yogananda also warned against spiritual bypassing, the tendency to use lofty concepts to avoid practical action. Yes, the delay has spiritual significance. Yes, karma is real and divine timing is wise. But none of this means you should passively accept every closed door without question. Sometimes the delay is not about waiting for divine timing, but about you taking responsibility for clearing the obstacles you yourself created. If your blessing is delayed because you have not developed the necessary skills, then study and practice. If your breakthrough is blocked because you have not healed relationships damaged by your own behavior, then do the difficult work of making amends. If your manifestation is stalled because you have not taken care of your physical health, then change your habits. Divine timing and personal responsibility are not opposing forces, they work together. The universe meets you halfway. It will not do for you what you can do for yourself. The delay might be screaming a message you refuse to hear. Stop waiting for rescue and start participating in your own liberation. Yogananda lived this balance perfectly, trusting God completely while working tirelessly, surrendering outcomes while taking inspired action, accepting what is while creating what could be. The scriptures that Yogananda studied and taught speak of seasons for every purpose under heaven, a time to plant and a time to harvest, a time to tear down and a time to build up. Your current season of waiting does not negate the coming season of receiving. It prepares you for it. The farmer who tries to harvest before the crops ripen returns home with empty hands and bitter heart. The farmer who waits patiently, tending the fields through sun and storm, trusting the natural cycle, eventually reaps abundance that far exceeds the initial planting. You are in the tending season right now. This is not the dramatic season, not the celebrated season, not the season that makes inspiring stories. This is the quiet season of faithfulness, when no one is watching, when results are invisible, when doubt whispers that nothing is happening. Yet everything is happening beneath the surface. Roots are deepening, strength is building, character is forming. The harvest season is coming, and when it arrives, you will understand why the waiting was not only necessary but merciful. Your resistance to the delay is actually extending it, creating a feedback loop that keeps you trapped in the very experience you want to escape. Yogananda taught that what you resist persists, and nowhere is this more evident than in the realm of delayed blessings. Every moment you spend in angry resistance to your current reality, you are energetically declaring, "I am not ready. I still believe circumstances define my peace. I still need external validation to feel worthy. I still trust appearances more than I trust the divine." This declaration, broadcast through your consciousness into the quantum field of possibility, creates more circumstances that match your vibration. The universe is not punishing you for your resistance. It is simply reflecting back to you the state of consciousness you are emanating. The fastest way to end a karmic delay is not to fight harder but to surrender deeper. When you can look at your current circumstances, even the painful ones, and say with genuine peace, "I trust the timing of my life. I am grateful for what this delay is teaching me. I know my blessing is on its way," you create an energetic opening that allows manifestation to flow. There are souls walking this earth right now who received their blessings too early and were destroyed by them. Yogananda counseled many such individuals during his ministry, people who achieved fame before they developed humility, who accumulated wealth before they understood stewardship, who gained influence before they mastered selflessness. Their stories follow a tragic pattern: rapid rise followed by spectacular fall, external success masking internal emptiness, public triumph hiding private despair. These are cautionary tales about the dangers of premature manifestation. When you receive what you prayed for before you are spiritually prepared to handle it, the blessing becomes a curse that accelerates your downfall rather than your ascension. You might think you want the blessing now, immediately, without another day of delay. But your higher self, which sees the full timeline of your incarnation, knows better. It sees that receiving now would set you up for catastrophic failure. It loves you too much to give you what you think you want at the expense of what you truly need. The delay is protection disguised as rejection. Yogananda often invoked the image of the chrysalis, that mysterious stage between caterpillar and butterfly where everything appears to be suspended animation. To the outside observer, the chrysalis seems to be doing nothing, accomplishing nothing, going nowhere. If you could ask the caterpillar becoming butterfly about the delay, it might express frustration, confusion, even despair. Why am I trapped in this darkness? When will I be free? What is taking so long? Yet inside that seemingly dormant chrysalis, one of nature's most spectacular transformations is unfolding. The caterpillar's body is literally dissolving, breaking down to cellular soup, reorganizing into an entirely different creature with entirely different capabilities. The delay is not wasted time, it is transformation time. You are in your chrysalis right now. Your old self is dissolving, your new self is forming. The process cannot be rushed without destroying the outcome. If someone cuts open the chrysalis prematurely to help the butterfly emerge faster, the creature will die, its wings too weak to function, its body too underdeveloped to survive. Your blessing is being held back for the same reason. Premature emergence would be fatal. Trust the darkness. Trust the waiting. Trust the unseen work happening within you. The final truth about karmic delays that Yogananda revealed is perhaps the most liberating: you are never actually separated from your blessing. It exists in potential form in the eternal now, already complete, already perfect, already yours. The delay you experience is not about the blessing traveling from some distant location to reach you. It is about you expanding your consciousness to include the dimension where the blessing already exists. Every spiritual practice Yogananda taught, meditation, pranayama, devotion, selfless service, is designed to expand your awareness beyond the limited frequency band of your current perception. As you expand, you naturally begin to vibrate at higher levels. As you vibrate higher, you access realities that were always present but invisible to your previous state of consciousness. Your blessing is not coming from the future. It is emerging from the eternal present as you become capable of perceiving it. The waiting is not chronological, it is dimensional, and the moment you fully embody the consciousness that matches your desired blessing, time collapses, karma completes, and what seemed perpetually delayed suddenly manifests with shocking speed. This is not magic. This is spiritual law operating with perfect precision. The ancestors who walked the spiritual path before you understood something that modern seekers have forgotten. Hardship is not evidence of divine abandonment, but proof of divine attention. Yogananda stood in a long lineage of masters who taught that the soul chosen for great purpose is often subjected to great testing. Your delays, your struggles, your unanswered prayers are not signs that you have been forgotten by the cosmos. They are signs that you have been selected for refinement. Ordinary souls receive ordinary challenges. Extraordinary souls receive extraordinary preparation. The depth of your current difficulty is proportional to the height of your coming elevation. God does not waste intensive training on those destined for mediocre missions. If your blessing has been delayed far longer than seems reasonable, if your test has lasted far longer than you believed you could endure, consider the possibility that you are being prepared for something far greater than you currently imagine. The delay is not diminishing your destiny, it is expanding it. Consider the profound difference between those who receive blessings easily and those who must fight for every inch of progress. The one who inherits wealth without effort often squanders it because they never learned its value. The one who builds wealth through years of discipline, setback, and perseverance treasures every dollar because they know the price paid for its acquisition. The same principle applies to every blessing, relationships, health, opportunities, spiritual realization. What comes easily is taken for granted. What comes after tremendous struggle is cherished, protected, honored. Yogananda knew this from his own journey. His path to establishing his mission in the West was filled with obstacles that would have defeated a lesser soul. Funding dried up. Students abandoned him. Critics attacked him. Doors slammed shut repeatedly. Yet each delay forced him to deepen his connection with the divine, to clarify his purpose, to develop the unshakable faith that would eventually attract millions to his teachings. Had his path been easy, his impact would have been shallow. The delays made him who he needed to become to fulfill his dharma. Your delays are doing the same for you. The ego interprets delay as punishment, but the soul recognizes it as refinement. There is a specific quality of consciousness that can only be developed through sustained waiting. A depth of trust that transcends favorable circumstances, a strength of faith that does not require visible evidence, a peace that remains unshaken despite external chaos. Yogananda called this quality devotion, and he insisted it was the most direct path to God realization. You cannot develop true devotion when everything is going according to your plan. Devotion emerges when your plan fails repeatedly, when logic suggests abandonment, when every rational voice tells you to give up, yet something deeper within you whispers, keep trusting, keep believing, keep walking. The delay is your devotion training. It is teaching you to love the divine not for what you can get but for what the divine is. It is transforming your relationship with Source from transactional to transformational. When your blessing finally arrives, you will bring to it a consciousness that has been forged in fire, tested in darkness, and proven unbreakable. This consciousness is worth infinitely more than the external manifestation itself. But there comes a moment in every delay when you must confront the shadow possibility lurking beneath your conscious awareness. What if the blessing never comes? What if you wait your entire life and die without receiving what you believed was promised? This is the ultimate test that separates authentic spirituality from spiritual materialism. If your faith depends entirely on eventually receiving what you want, then you have not yet touched real faith. You have only touched sophisticated bargaining. Yogananda faced this test directly in his own practice. He would spend hours, sometimes days, in meditation seeking divine communion, and there were periods when the heavens seemed silent, when God felt impossibly distant, when even his formidable practice yielded no obvious results. In these dark nights of the soul, he discovered the deepest truth of spiritual life. The blessing is not the point. The relationship with the divine is the point. If you can reach a place of genuine surrender where you say, even if I never receive this blessing, I will still love you. Even if this prayer goes unanswered for my entire lifetime, I will still trust you. Even if I die waiting, I will die grateful for the journey. You have transcended karma itself. And paradoxically, It is often in this moment of ultimate surrender that the long-delayed blessing suddenly manifests, not because you earned it through your surrender, but because surrender made you finally ready to receive it without being destroyed by it. The greatest secret about karmic delays, the truth that Yogananda whispered only to his most advanced students, is this: the delay and the blessing are the same thing wearing different masks. You believe you are waiting for something separate from yourself, something that will arrive from outside to complete you. But what you are actually waiting for is the full awakening of your own divine nature. The relationship you seek exists first between you and your own soul. The abundance you crave exists first in your recognition of the infinite wealth of consciousness itself. The healing you pray for exists first in your acceptance of wholeness despite physical limitations. The recognition you desire exists first in your acknowledgement of your own sacred worth. Every external blessing is simply a mirror, reflecting back an internal realization you have already achieved. The delay has been giving you time to find within yourself what you thought you needed from without. It has been redirecting your attention from the reflection to the source, from the symbol to the reality, from the manifestation to the consciousness that creates all manifestation. When you finally understand this, when you truly awaken to the treasure that has been inside you all along, the external blessings pour forth not as separate additions to your life, but as natural expressions of who you have become. The wait ends not when circumstances change, but when you change. And when you change completely, you realize you were never actually waiting at all. You were always already home. So here you stand at the threshold of understanding. No longer the person who began this journey believing that delayed blessings meant divine rejection. You have walked through the sacred corridors of karma, witnessed the invisible machinery of spiritual timing, and discovered that every moment of waiting was actually a moment of becoming. Yogananda left you with a compass, not a map, because your path is uniquely yours, your delays precisely calibrated to your soul's curriculum. Your blessings timed to arrive exactly when you possess the consciousness to honor them without destroying yourself. The question is no longer when will my blessing arrive, but who am I becoming while I wait? Because the person who emerges from the chrysalis of delay is the true blessing, and everything else is simply a reflection of that internal transformation. The universe has not forgotten you. It has been meticulously, lovingly, perfectly preparing you for a manifestation so aligned with your highest good, that when it finally arrives you will fall to your knees in gratitude, not just for the blessing but for the weight that made you worthy of it. The ancestors whisper a final truth across the veil of time. Blessed are those who learn to love the delay as much as they love the arrival, for they have discovered the secret that sets all souls free. Your waiting ends the moment you realize you were never waiting at all. You were always in the presence of the divine, always held in perfect love, always exactly where you needed to be. If this message resonated in the depths of your soul, if you felt something shift in your understanding of your own delayed blessings, let that recognition move through you into action. Share this wisdom with someone trapped in the prison of impatient waiting. Leave a comment about your own journey through delay. Your story might be the lifeline another soul desperately needs. Subscribe to this space where ancient wisdom meets modern struggle, where Yogananda's teachings continue to illuminate the path for seekers brave enough to trust divine timing over human desperation. Your blessing is not delayed. It is right on time, and so are you.